After 5 straight losses, the Yankees have finished this weekend with an AL worst 5-10 record, which is their worst start since the 1997 season. But Andrew, it gets worse for the Knicks because they also have historically bad stats to go along with that. Let's take a look at this tweet from Katie Sharp, who went through some analytics. It's like they have a 210 they have a 210 batting average, lowest through 15 games since 1968. They have other like low stats like slugging, lowest in 15 games since 1989. It's just a bad start to the season for the New York Yankees, and there was so much potential. There was so much talk about they got Garrett Cole, the big free agent signing. Things are gonna be even better in New York than they were last season, and now we're seeing them slip a little bit. We're seeing them lose series. We're seeing them lose games. They are 5 games under 500 right now, which for them is an unusual place to be, especially early to begin the season. So, Andrew, tell me, what do you think is wrong with the New York Yankees?
So there's a bunch of things wrong. Number one, they have. It's no secret the Yankees have the highest payroll in baseball, and they are paying these guys. The Yankees live and die by the home run ball, and frankly, they are not hitting. They are not hitting. What do they have? I think of the starting 9, they have either 7, might be 6 or 7 of them are batting under 200. You're not getting run production out of that. You're not getting run production. Basically, they're not getting run production out of anybody. Stanton's not hitting. Hicks isn't hitting. Judge isn't hitting. None of these guys are hitting. So when you're a team where the entirety of your, the way you play is predicated on the home run ball, and you're not just hitting the home run, but you're not hitting in general, that's not a recipe for success. It also doesn't help when, you go out, you pay this pitching staff, and anybody not named Garrett Cole has an ERA of what, above 6? So when you're not hitting and you're pitching, all your pitchers have an ERA of above 6. Of course, I'm surprised their record isn't worse, by the way. Given what I just told you.
Really?
I'm surprised their record isn't worse, by the way, because they are not. This is bad. This is not. Now, the Yankees obviously have time to turn it around. It is the first month of the year, so don't let a slow start fool you, because I've seen teams, Milwaukee. There's been Milwaukee Brewers teams that have started, 40 and 12 and missed the playoffs. So I wouldn't let a slow start, it's not a sinking ship yet, but there are some problems that the Yankees have to fix. The pitching has just not been there. This is a team that was expected to hit, and they're just not hitting. And I don't know when they're going to start hitting because, they don't have – I hate to make, the Mets analogy, but, even though they do have Garrett Cole, who he's a stud, they don't have, the Mets have – we got Stroman as our day 2. We have Syndergaard, who is – arguably one of the most talented pitchers in baseball. We're going to have him coming back in August. We got David Peterson. We got dudes. So all with low ERAs, all that get outs, all that limit runs. So they don't have something like that where if they don't hit, at least their pitching can make up for it. They haven't had that. And don't get me started on their defense. If anyone has watched the Yankees, dude, their defense, bottom 5 in the league. I mean, and it's funny because they just made a trade to bring in this guy Odor. So not only were they not hitting, and he's not hitting, they bought him in because he did have a couple 30 home run seasons a few years back. So they're hoping in a smaller ballpark they might get that kind of production out of him. He's not hitting, but he's a downgrade defensively. And, I think the Yankees, they're going to right the ship eventually. They will right the ship, might turn it around, make the playoffs or something like that. But just how weak they are defensively and with the way they go cold like this, I don't see them really going that far. And it also doesn't help when, Tampa Bay has their number. Put it this way. We were talking about this before the show, dude. Tampa Bay has a payroll of $60 million. The Yankees have a payroll of over $250 million. So their payroll is 4 times what Tampa Bay's is. And every team uses analytics. What is so much better about Tampa Bay's analytics that they are able to put a better team on the field after they let some studs in the offseason walk, by the way, because they didn't bring back Blake Snell. They let guys walk in the offseason, and yet I'm not saying they're just as good as the team that went to the World Series, because mind you, they have guys, and Tampa Bay has guys that are hurt too, by the way. But I don't know what the excuse is for the Yankees when you're spending that much money and the team that's owning you, yes, owning you, has 1/4 of your payroll. That's a problem that has to be addressed sooner rather than later if the Yankees
Yeah.
want to turn the season around.
I mean, yeah, like you said, like they're just not getting, like, at the end of the day, they're just not getting the bang for their buck that they're used to. Usually, we see the Yankees spend all this money in free agency, building these super teams, and you know, they at least, are above 500, or they're one of the best teams in the major leagues. But seeing the opposite of that, and eventually this kind of stuff catches up to you, right? Eventually, this overspending, it's not sustainable, because at some point your bets are going to go bad, and you're going to put together a team that might be good on paper but doesn't have the chemistry, doesn't have it all together at the same time. And you kind of need that, especially defensively, like you said in baseball. But so, like, but we've seen, like, teams recover from this. Like again, it's only 15 games in. 5-10 is not something that you can't recover from. Hell, the Nats, I think we started 19-31 with the year we won the World Series. So there's room. There's room
Right.
for them to
Like I said before, dude, I've seen Milwaukee teams start fucking 40-12 and not make the playoffs. So
yeah. So, like, it's very possible that they still make the play. It's actually likely, I think, they still make the playoffs. But these early woes, they could be an indication that the Yankees are weaker than people thought. And I think you laid it out honestly perfectly. But what can they do to get things back on track? And can they actually get things back on track fairly soon?
they got to hit. That's more or less what it is. They got to hit. I mean, they got all these big names. They got to hit. That's more or less what it is, dude. You look up and down that lineup, they have a bunch of 25, 30 home run guys up and down that lineup that just went out and bought an Odor, who is another potential 30 home run guy. If your defense is going to struggle, which their defense is very bad, they've lost games on bad errors, and your pitching is not going to be there outside of Garrett Cole. If your pitching is just not going to be there, you got to outscore the other team, and they're not doing that right now. They're just not doing that. So they got to hit. I mean, I think it's early in the season. It's still cold. I think once the weather warms up, maybe the hitters will start. They'll warm up and they'll start hitting. But until then, I don't really know any. I don't know if they can make any moves, by the way, just because I don't know who they could bring in that could fix this, because they've got Aaron Judge, Stanton, like, they've got the big name dudes that are eventually going to hit. It's just when. That's the question. When?
Yep. And I think we laid this out last week, right? The formula, the real take formula for winning in baseball: pitching plus hitting equals winning. It's very simple.
That's it. If you're
Very
gonna
simple.
win the World Series, you gotta keep the other team from. It's a very simple formula. Just keep the other team from scoring, and you score as much as you. That's the way to win.
Thanks for watching this video from Real Take Sports Talk. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Also, remember to check out our live show every single Thursday at 8 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel. And remember, keep it real.